Welcome to Petrol Ped, and welcome to another insane creation from this crazy dude and the guys at ZCars. A 450 horsepower classic Mini with a DSG gearbox. Oh my god. It's now almost 3 years ago since I first drove a ZCars creation. A classic Mini with a supercharged Honda Civic Type R engine in the back, rear-wheel drive, manual gearbox, epic car. That video did amazingly well, 1.3 million views so far. About 12 months later, I got to drive two Fiat 500s created by the guys here at ZCars. One of them had a Subaru engine in the back, the Fubaru, and one of them had a Hayabusa bike engine in the back, the Fiabusa, both completely bonkers. And in fact, the Fiabusa video is my highest viewed video, 2.1 million views. And I've always wanted to come here where ZCars are made. And I'm here today to drive a very special car, but more on that later. It's a classic Mini with a DSG gearbox, so it's worth hanging around for. But ZCars have always had a really good response on the channel. You've always had lots of questions, so I thought I'd come and try and answer some of those questions here. And there's also a really interesting evolution of the ZCars brand and ZCars company that I want to talk to you about. But these are some of the creations in various stages of build. I am going to show you around a couple of these cars in a moment. But first up, I thought it would be interesting to look at where these cars start from the ground up, and that is in the room next door. So follow me. We're going to have a look at how these amazing cars are made, some of the different engine options and configurations, the change in the ZCars story, and then it's a sunny day. We're going to go out and drive a 400 horsepower DSG gearbox classic Mini. Of course, should be a fun day. Now, when you see a classic Mini parked up that's been made by ZCars, you can't really see under the skin, as it were. And a few of the comments on the videos I've done is you wanted to know how things were made, how it all hangs together. Now I'm going to get Dave, who owns ZCars, on camera when we go out for a drive, because ZCars as a brand has been around a long time. And predominantly those cars were made as kits by people at home, even though they've been manufacturing cars here as ZCars with skilled engineers and so on for a while now. And one of the things that Dave wants to do is evolve the ZCars brand. We all know them for making crazy engine swap Minis, but what Dave really wants to do is make cars that are from the ground up, beautifully made, brilliantly engineered, with safety and quality in mind. And that is where Diminutive comes in as a brand. Now, I'm not going to steal Dave's thunder, we'll talk about it in the car, but think about these as a engine swap Mini resto mod at the highest level of quality. And it starts with this Spaceframe made by Safety Devices. It's a really interesting bit of engineering. There's lots and lots to talk about. First off, everything bolts to this: the wheels, the suspension, the engine at the back, and the body shell. At the front, you've got space for a really nicely sized fuel tank, 50-litre fuel tank. You've got outboard suspension. What's really nice inside, because Dave's a very similar height to me, is they've done some really clever engineering and moving around of things inside to give more room for a longer-legged driver, which is good news when you're 6'3". And then at the back of this space frame is effectively an engine cradle. This thing here, there's a number of different options depending on what engine you want in your ZCars. You can have a bike engine, you can have the Civic engine that I drove in the car before. There's even a car next door we'll look at in a moment with a Focus RS engine in it. And there are also 3 different types of space frame, depending on whether you're going to use a lot of track use or whether you're just going to look at road use and everything in between. So that's where the build starts, and then you need a body shell. So let's head on over here and talk about where the body shells come from, and also to sort of position things with this Diminutive resto mod brand. Now this shell is very nearly ready to go onto one of the space frames. Now ideally, They actually use brand new shells. If the car is aimed for the American market, because of the rules about road-going cars out there, what they'd probably do is look for an original shell that's at least 25 years old and use that and just make sure it's nicely looked after and sorted. But this is a brand new shell, and then they do some work on the inside, especially on the flooring. They put some different bracing, they remove the rear end of it because that's where the engine's going to go. But what you're going to end up with is effectively a brand new space frame underneath, a brand new body shell, and then the interior, they're working with some really nice leather trimmers to get as many nice materials in there. And I guess it depends on what the customer wants. If you want super lightweight, you can go for lots of carbon fiber and keep the weight of the vehicle down. If you want a more cruisy oriented car with lots of luxury, you can chuck leather and wood and whatever you want. The piece of paper is a blank sheet when you come here. You can spec pretty much everything you like. But cars now from Diminutive are going to be this lovely quality, this lovely resto mod style, but with the, if you like, the heritage and the DNA of ZCars. Now, there's a few really special cars in the workshop, but I'm conscious I'm talking a lot. We need to quickly show you those. And then it's a beautiful sunny day today. We didn't expect it to be sunny today. I was expecting it to be raining. And believe me, the car we're going to drive, you don't want to be driving that in the wet, really. So let's go and show you a couple of the cool projects next door, and then we're going to go out for a drive while it's still sunny. Now then, before we go out for a drive, I just wanted to show you a couple of the cars in the final stages of build. Let's start off with this one, perhaps my favorite car here. I love the kind of Nardo grey paint, lots of carbon fiber. That is a real carbon fiber roof. I love the orange space frame, but in the back is a supercharged Honda Civic Type R engine. And when this is finished, it's going to be producing about 350 horsepower through the rear wheels. This one, this is pretty special as well. Engine choice in this is the engine you'd find in a Focus RS or in the 4-pot Mustang. And when this is finished, it's going to be running about 380 horsepower. And I love the fact you can see the exhaust in there. Now we're going up in the power stakes a little bit more with this beautiful Hyundai Performance Blue. It's got comfort spec, this one. I love this because it's got Porsche seats, it's got a pan roof, but in the back is a Ford 1.6 EcoBoost with a big old turbocharger, and this car, when it's finished, is going to be running about 420 horsepower. Love that. It's even got a filler cap in the middle of the bonnet so that you don't have to open the bonnet to fill it up with fuel. But this is the daddy. This car, it's got the same supercharged Honda engine as that one, except this has got forged internals, bigger supercharger, and when this is finished, it's going to be running about 450 horsepower. But it's also got, though, if I just open this, it's got a cat. So for IVA conformance, it's fully catalytic converted in terms of emissions. I think that's really very cool. But my favorite car in here, apart from the one I want to take home, is this one. It's a clubby. And the cool story about this is the owner of this is a wheelchair user. So the guys have adapted this to a couple of things. Firstly, there's space in the back here for a wheelchair. It's not going to be quite the bonkers power as some of the others, but it's still going to be pretty quick. And then even little things like the space frame, they've put a different bar here just to meet, for access in and out. And because it's a slightly longer wheelbase, there's some space behind the rear seats and before the firewall. But the bit I love most is that color is BMW Misano Blue, and it will go with the owner's M135i, which is also in Misano Blue. I just love that. But the final thing, and the thing that makes this car different from everything else in here, is this is running a DSG Gearbox, a semi-auto gearbox. And that, in the resto mod space, is a very, very rare thing. In fact, almost these are the only guys that do it. And the car I'm now going to drive has a DSG gearbox. So let's go out for a drive. It's still sunny, the rain has stayed away, and I'm going to experience a lot of power, but a DSG gearbox, rear-wheel drive in a classic Mini. Awesome. Now, if you come to ZCars, the ultimate thing to do is drive the owner's car. This is Dave's personal car. It's a beautiful spec. First up, the colour, Merlin purple. But engine choice in the back of this is an engine out of an Audi S3. Only this car is just rear wheel drive. But that engine has a hybrid turbo attached to it and a DSG gearbox. Now, they had this car on a rolling road recently and apparently was spinning on the drums, so they need to go back to a hub-mounted rolling road, and they think this car is going to end up at somewhere in the region of 500 horsepower. At the moment, it's about 450, but it is a beautiful thing. It has pan roof, it's got carbon tillet bucket seats. It's a beautiful thing in there. It's a touch intimidating, if I'm honest. But luckily I had a Brave pill this morning. I'm wearing my big boy Brave pants because Dave's going to let me drive it. So the sun is still shining. The roads have dried up quite a lot, I'm sure. Let's take this out for a drive and experience a DSG geared rear wheel drive 450 horsepower classic Mini. Might have to speak quite loudly, I think, don't you? Now then, guys, this is Dave, owner of ZCars. Welcome to the channel, mate.
Thank you.
You avoided it last time.
Not a bit camera shy.
He's camera shy. Now this car, so we're just warming up at the moment. It's got the S3 engine, and I said it's got a DSG gearbox, but it's a DSG gearbox from a diesel.
Yeah, so the problem that a lot of the older cars had is that when you use those engines in a Mini with 13-inch wheels,
Yeah.
it lowers the gearing. Yes, they accelerate faster, but when you're on the motorway, the engine's screaming away maybe 1,000, 1,500 revs higher than the car that it came out of.
Yeah.
So my old car had a longer final drive. I mean, when you get something that's got back then 200 horsepower and 750 kilos, it's plenty fast enough.
Yeah.
So if you lose a bit of acceleration, and then you don't want to kill your passenger when you get to the other end because you're all tone deaf, hot and bothered. And this is why this has got a diesel gearbox.
Yeah. So it's giving it longer gears, longer drive. So in a way, it probably helps you off the line because you've got so much power. You'd just be spinning the wheels up, and especially in the wet, it would be a nightmare.
I've no chance to test it, but I would imagine that if I've got the normal ratio gearbox and I open the taps too aggressively, I'm just going to spin up while the traction control will kick in.
Yeah.
Which seems completely counterintuitive.
Squat down, and then the next thing you know, the horizon's coming at you really quickly.
I was just looking that way.
Wow. Oh, that's quite scary. Here we go. Have you been a passenger in this before?
No. It's on my bucket list of things not to do.
My levels of intimidation are quite high. So first impression, it gets up through the gears as quickly as it can. But that gives you a nice relaxing feel in this drive mode. It doesn't feel like it's trying to kill you.
That comes later.
That comes later. Oh, thanks, Dave. That's a reassuring thing. great thing though is, straight away you know you're in a classic Mini, because it's just got that darty, go-karty type feel. It's such a tiny car, but it's the throttle, you just know that there's an awful lot under there. Probably that's about 5%. And we're just in the warming up, getting to know the car phase. And that's in fifth. It's got a lot of torque. It doesn't seem
loads of torque.
Doesn't seem to really need to. I'm now up in sixth. I'm only doing 40 miles an hour. So it just gives that nice relaxing feel. And with so much power and torque and so little weight, it's actually super relaxing to drive. So, Diminutive. The challenge you've got is ZCars have been around a long time. There's lots of self-built ones out there, and what you want to build is the ultimate in quality. And that ZCars name can't quite stretch that far. And Diminutive by ZCars, or however you end up finessing it.
I don't think the two business models go hand in hand. You can't have someone taking a kit from you and eating into your daily hours, asking you to help them build it.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to sell that to somebody as a factory build. And I don't think it's fair on the factory build customers, because they're obviously going to pay a lot of money. And I can't control how well the kits are built. And I've seen a lot of these cars, and I don't want to say anything unkind, but some of them are dangerous and awful, and others are as good as we've ever built.
Yeah.
I'll be honest about that. I know of some cars that they are very talented individuals, and they've been able to, thank you for that, they've been able to spend hundreds of hours of their own time putting their talents into building their own car.
Yeah.
And of course, it's going to be to a good standard. However, are the shells restored?
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot that they weren't. The kits were put into unrestored cars.
Yeah.
Now, they made them lighter, but if something goes wrong, is that roll cage going to do its job?
Yeah. And the performance we've seen today, everything needs to be tip-top. And it's a slightly different thing, but when I bought my Caterham, you know, I thought, well, there's no way I'm buying a homemade Caterham. I want to have one for this build from the factory, because then I know it's been built properly. And this is just drive mode, we're not in sport mode yet.
No. When I go sport?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah. So we're still in auto change.
Yeah,
so
just hold on to the changes a bit longer for you. So rather than doing like an economic change up, it will sit in the revs
yeah.
a bit longer.
It's kind of holding it in fourth now. Some turbo flutter, people! Oh dear. So the Jekyll and Hyde character's coming out. So what are we in now? So that's in manual, so if I can... it. Oh, I'm very conscious of the fact I've got such a large amount of horsepower under my right foot.
What now?
Yeah.
No.
Oh wow!
I'm enjoying this more than I thought I would.
I like it with the valves open.
Yeah. It's night and day difference.
There we go. Oh, this is ridiculous. I'm not doing a great deal of professional car journalist reviewing stuff here, people, because I'm trying to concentrate on not killing us both. But this is just an insane car. I'm struggling to think in my head of a more insane car that I've driven.
It wasn't meant to be insane. That's not why we built it.
But the insane
happens
bit,
to be.
the insane bit is when you have it in just drive mode and it's not in sport mode and it's changing for itself. It's actually quite a pussycat.
It's a Jekyll and Hyde car, isn't it?
When you have it in sport mode, manual box with the valves open, it does that.
That was 30 to 60, that. I was watching.
On a track or on an airfield, it's probably the only safe place to play with this. Well, what can I say? So, for me, what I've learned today is this. I love ZCars. I love the whole ethos about the cars that you make. But I love Diminutive as an idea. I love the fact that you're building them in-house. You're using the very best materials. You're using, new shells. You've got the Spaceframe. You've got whatever trim you want to create something really special. I love that. Well, mate, as we come into this quieter area, I'm going to draw this film to a close.
Okay.
Thank you for the invite, mate.
Thanks for
Absolutely wicked. I knew this car would be special. Unfortunately, the roads, it's a bit busy. The traffic's just got really busy towards the end of the day, and we haven't really had the opportunity to open its taps. But as we've just been saying, for me, actually, this car is so fast, you really need to be on a racetrack or on the public road, on an airfield to really let it loose. But just listen to that. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to put all of the details for Diminutive below. And if you're interested in a top-end resto mod classic Mini with a ridiculous engine swap built to your specification, then just get in touch.
Why not?
They need to do it, don't they?
I hope so.
And come up with some engine that you've not used before. You can have a
I don't know how we follow this.
I don't know.
I honestly don't know how we follow this.
Wow, yeah. Anyway, if you enjoyed that one, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come. If you can hear me over this unreal sounding engine, I'll see you on the next film, guys. You take care. Drive safe. Now, I'm going to try and get back to ZCars without killing us.
Okay.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
I'd like that.
Would you like that?